My name is Mark Karsten, and I'm in Group 2, and we are doing the Coherence Principal. Perhaps our single most important recommendation is to keep the lesson uncluttered. In short, according to the Coherence Principle, you should avoid adding any material that does not support the instructional goal. The Coherence Principle is important because it is commonly violated, it is straightforward to apply, and it can have a strong impact on learning. The first principle is to avoid e-lessons with extraneous words. Our definition of extraneous are words that are irrelevant or unrelated to the subject. Some examples would be trivia or anecdotal stories. Even if you are considering these more interesting words, it can end up hurting the learning process. We recommend using shorter rather than long narration. The second principle is to avoid e-lessons with extraneous graphics. Interesting graphics are not harmful in every situation, but they can be distracting and disruptive. Remember, when pictures are used only to decorate the screen, they are not likely to improve learning. Extraneous audio may also overload the working memory. Background music or environmental sounds are not recommended. If a learner is new to the content, if the material is presented at a rapid rate, or if the material is not in control of the pacing of the presentation, working memory may be overloaded. Even gaming sound effects have not been proven to be effective. The psychology of the Coherence Principle is informed by cognitive theory. This asserts that the brain's working memory capacity is limited and can be overloaded by too much unnecessary information. In essence, extra words require extra cognitive resources spent processing. The three common types of extraneous words are words added for interest. These are fun facts or anecdotes that are related to your topic but not to the learning goals. The next are words that are added for expanding on key lesson details. These are things that are considered nice to know, but not essential for reaching your learning goal. Last are technical details. These are terms or ideas that are relevant to the topic, but are most likely beyond the scope of your presentation. Including extraneous words results in increased extraneous load, which prevents the learner from processing the essential material in your presentation. Along the same lines, adding extraneous graphics or audio in an attempt to spark learner interest can also overload and disrupt processing. According to cognitive theory, interest doesn't come from extra multimedia. It comes from the learner making sense of information and feeling positively about their understanding. Three common ways that extraneous multimedia can interfere with processing are distraction, or directing the learner's attention away from key material. The next is disruption, that's preventing the learner from linking relevant material together. And last is seduction, that is multimedia that is interesting but unrelated. This primes the learner for attending to extraneous or incorrect knowledge. Extraneous multimedia, like extraneous words, results in increased extraneous load that prevents the learner from processing the essential material in your presentation. There is evidence that supports the Coherence Principle. Research shows that removing unnecessary materials helps learners retain more. Basically, cognitive overload is reduced when learners are not distracted by extraneous materials. Here is an example of a slide that is showing the Coherence Principle. This slide uses the principle by including only essential words and visuals. The diagram is simple and directly related to the learning goal, understanding what a gene is. There are no background images, sound effects, or unrelated facts. The limited text reduces cognitive load, allowing learners to focus on the main concept. This slide shows an example that violates the coherence property. This slide violates the coherence principle in several ways. It adds extraneous words like magical, and trivia about jellyfish that aren't essential to the instructional goal. The background image and music are designed to entertain but distract from the core message. According to Clark and Mayer, seductive details like these reduce retention and transfer by overloading the learner's limited cognitive capacity. As we come to the end of our presentation, we wanted to know, what do you think? These questions are meant to get learners thinking about how extra visuals or sounds can help or hurt learning. The goal is to reflect on how the coherence principle shows up in real experience.